Yeah. All right, everybody. How's it going tonight? I hope all you negative renegades are ready to have a good and interesting time. We have a very special uh, presentation tonight of Urgh A Music War. I got a lot of history with this movie, and so um, I was actually glad to find a unedited. Well, actually, I'll explain that later. But there's a full on thing about like this movie, but it's one that back in the day I didn't think that I'd ever see it by chance. I had read about it and hoped that it would show up in theaters, which it really didn't. It might have done some midnight shows or something, but I didn't. I was actually in, you know, record shopping with my girlfriend at the time, and I was, like 16 or whatever, and I happened to come across the soundtrack album, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I was like, "This is unbelievable." That I didn't even know at the time they had even released a soundtrack to it. So I picked that up, and we were listening to that over the next couple of days, and so it finally showed up like on cable, and that was like the first time I saw it. But then whenever I moved to San Francisco, like there was this one art house that I would go to, and they happened to have a showing of it one time, so I was able to see it on a big screen. Not too big because this place, like I said, was sort of an art house, but you know, it was good to see it though in a big screen. But it's mainly all music performances. There's and it just kind of nonstop goes through there. But I've seen, I saw quite a few of the bands that are in it in concert, and so I'll be talking about my experiences. When I told Juno about it, he thought that
Mm.
I was, there at some of the shows that are featured in the movie, which I was not, because I told him, I said, well, that would have meant I'd have to have been flying to London, to France, back to LA, and stuff like that. But a lot of the bands, I just happened to see them on their tours, and it actually opens up with the Police, and I saw them around the same time that the movie takes place on their own tour, and it's probably a lot of that was probably filmed during the same time frame. Um, but I saw them here, and then the opening band was XTC, who was also featured in the film as well. So I would assume that that was still part of their tour, and they were still the opening, band for them and whatnot. And then I think because they were in Freyas, which I think is in France or Greece or some fucked up place, who knows? But like UB40 is part of that, and Jules Holland, who was the keyboard player for um, Squeeze at the time and stuff. No, Kenny, there's no sense as working overtime. This is pre that record, so that's by a couple of years. They do Respectable Street from the Black Sea record.
Yeah.
And
You like the Police?
yeah, I mean, I saw them play. They were one of the bands that I saw at the time. I mean, by 83, when Synchronicity came out, that record was so over fucking played that, and I hated it, and they hated each other. So, of course, they split up, for the first time. So it was kind of like, you know, like sort of at one time, good riddance to bad rubbish, stuff. And so, I'm going to give roll call real quick. We've got Chester Franklin the goat is here, and then we have Rosalia is here. Ashton is here in the house. Anthony Chabot is in the house, and then of course Kenny Jones, the Yam King, is in the house, and Johnny is in the house. So thanks for coming in tonight, everybody, and stuff. And hopefully Brooks Sauce will pop in and P Rich, you know. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of, I guess, give dialogue while we're watching the film, because I mean I could talk for over an hour before we even get this thing started. But this movie runs about 2 hours, so we're gonna go ahead and probably just go ahead and get it started. There's a YouTube link at the top of the posted at the top of the chat. So if you guys want to get ready, and we'll start this in about a minute or so. Yeah, that never happened, unfortunately, But as with always, the music industry is always a fickle thing because they think they have the next big thing, and then they don't promote bands worth of shit, especially like here, or they think they did better, And then of course we had to go through all that, hair metal, and stuff. But we won't be talking about that. But yeah, if everybody's kind of ready, let me know. We'll start the countdown and whatnot. And P Rich is here. Hey, P Rich, hope all is well. So now we're just waiting for Brooks Sauce, and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna Music Wars, exactly, So okay, we're gonna get this going. So I'm gonna give the 10 count, and so we've got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, cinco, cuatro, tres, dos, uno. Press play, bitches, pendejos, motherfuckers, and homos.
And chingazos.
Werewolves, negative renegades. And you see there's a shot of Stuart Copeland with his movie camera filming stuff. Andy Summers filmed a lot of stuff when the police were actually on tour, and stuff. Because there was a home video that came out probably around the same time called The Police Around the World. And it was pretty interesting. Concert footage and them fucking around in different cities and stuff. And I love the fact when you see Stewart's drums on his toms, it's written "fuck off, you cunt" on them. So that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, to me, they were a band, a great band, if they just could have kept their fucking heads together, stuff. Yeah. But Sting got kind of, a swelled up head, stuff. But I do like the fact that he's wearing an English beat wife beater, stuff.
Mm-hmm. Pretty awesome, I'm sure.
It's like I said, this just brings back a lot of weird times, because this it's all about I mean, all this was taking place like when I was in high school and stuff like that. One of the things about Stuart Copeland, the drummer of the Police, his two brothers kind of put this together, because his brother Miles had IRS Records, the label, and then his brother Ian Copeland, he ran a management company, FBI Booking. And so pretty much all the bands in some way, shape, or form were either managed by Ian, or they were on IRS or like weird subsidiary labels and stuff that they like distributed and stuff like that. You weren't born yet. Well, yeah, told you I was an old man. But I still don't have a pacemaker from whatever the rumors of that are not true. So,
What was your thoughts on their song "Every Breath You Take"?
yeah, see, that was overdone, overplayed.
Yeah,
People would like call that the stalker song. I pretty much call that the suicide song. So there you go.
yeah.
Now, Wall of Voodoo, I saw these guys in 83, I think early 83 before I graduated. But the funny thing was, they were the opening band for Gary Newman. And that was like a weird bill. But I mean, both bands were fucking great. Newman was especially good because at the time he had Chris Slade as his drummer, who was later the guy who was he was AC/DC's drummer, the bald guy, like when you see the video for Thunderstruck and stuff like that. But he played with Newman first, and he was just fucking killer. And it was funny, before they started their set, they were playing a tape of like Marty Robbins, and people were like really pissed, like about it for some reason, because there was all these rockers, I guess, and they didn't want to hear fucking country music, but Marty Robbins was a god. And their singer Stan, he went on to do what's that? I think it was for like Rumblefish. He sings like one of the songs in Rumblefish, or it might have been The Outsiders. But Stuart Copeland did like the music for one of those. I believe it was The Outsiders. So, there's all these fucking like connections, almost like, the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever the fuck that deal is. So,
You said that Tito and the Tarantulas, they were a punk rock band.
who, well, yeah, Tito Lariva and Jalo, who later played drums for Tito and the Tarantula for a while, they were originally a band called the Plugs, Plugz.
Mhm.
And there's a record that they have that came out uh, called Electrify Me, their first album. And they do a fucking great cover of like La Bamba that's really like fast, like in under like 2 minutes. And then later, Tito formed a band called the Cruzados before he did Tito and the Tarantula. But yeah, he's still playing. There's gonna be like there's a Go Go's like song. Well, they show him doing We Got the Meat. I mean beat, and like Belinda was still kind of fat Belinda. No offense, because I thought she was sexy heavy. So like. But it has their original bass player Margot. But there's a clear shot of the audience, and you see Darby from the Germs with his mohawk and shit, and it's kind of cool. And then This is Toya Wilcox. She's actually married to Robert Fripp, the guitarist who was in King Crimson, and she was in this movie um, with Adam Ant um, called Jubilee. It's a weird fucking movie. It was directed by this guy Derek Jarman, and it was taking place like in England when England was having all the garbage strikes and stuff back in the mid 70s. But it's strange. But she and Robert Fripp every Sunday, if you just look up Toya and Robert Fripp, they make a video of them covering like some song. It's usually not the full song because it's just them playing guitar. Sometimes she plays guitar, but it's just them fucking around. But it's usually really funny as hell. You know, it's always fun. You know, stuff. But when she was doing, you know, like this stuff, I mean, her band was like fucking killer. But I don't know if she even ever toured like the U.S. She might have, but not that I ever knew of stuff. I mean, I did see somebody had a flyer for like the shows in California because it was like over 2 nights or something, and it was like it said something of like, you know, Urgh A Music War, live filming or whatever, and it had the list of the bands, you know, that were going to be filmed that between those 2 nights, and because it was weird too, because this was sort of at the time that Penelope Spheris was filming the first Decline, you know, because you know you have the X footage, but they're in here doing Beyond and Back, I think.
Yeah. For the Germs, what was the reason why they got cut out of Up in Smoke?
Well, no, they weren't in this film. Just Darby happened to be at.
Yeah.
They happened to catch him at the whiskey watching the Go Go's and stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
I meant the Up in Smoke movie. Like, why were they cut
Yeah,
out?
they're in that. Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
are they?
they're in that.
They're,
Go ahead, Juno.
I said like because I know what they look like. It's just I didn't remember seeing them in the final cut of the movie.
Well, it's possible that they got, you know, if they weren't in it, it was because, you know, they were, you know, probably Darby, you know, being too wild himself, you know. But the deals are in Up in Smoke, which was fucking great, you know. I mean, like in the movie Cruising, I think they only play one Germ song, but they recorded some stuff for the soundtrack, and then I think only one song was used. They recorded like 3 or 4 songs, and they didn't get used. So, you know, germs and endearment, you know. So, hey, Joseph, and the horror guy, everybody is in the house. Coach Joseph, as I call him. The guitarist, this guy that she had, I mean, I think this guy was fucking phenomenal. I have no idea, you know, what the fuck his name was, you know, but this fucking solo in this song, you know. The one thing though that I kind of irked me about the movie is that sometimes I mean, I think it was kind of good in a way that they didn't sort of rely on people's hits, you know, or stuff like that, you know, like in the Devo, I think they're doing fuck, it's not Gates of Steel, but they don't they're not doing Whip It, you know, and stuff,
Mhm.
you know, which I think most people probably would have expected them to do. But I mean, apparently, like the negative to this fucking movie's lost. I did find on YouTube somebody had a couple of outtakes from the film. There was like one other Dead Kennedy's performance that wasn't in the film. Oh yes, the poet laureate John Cooper Clarke, the punk poet. This is just he's still around doing stuff, and he's fucking like I think in his 80s now or something. I remember my grandmother watching this with me one time, and she thought he was great because she was just like, "Oh, I love that hair. It's hilarious," you know, and stuff. And you know, she never seen anybody like spitting out poetry, you know, like that and stuff, you know. But he actually he actually had a few records where he had a band backing him up, and he wasn't just doing stuff like this. There was a compilation in the 70s called Streets that he was on. I can't think of the fucking song, but it was really good. See, I could see like P. Rich being the DJ for John Cooper Clarke. You know, that'd be great.
He would be perfect in a Guy Ritchie movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Whip
Maybe
it the
like a bad
bebop.
guy role, gangster role.
See, then here we have OMD or Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, and this was, of course, pre If You Leave from Pretty in Pink and stuff. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was always kind of weird too how some of these bands wound up getting, you know, hits off of like movie soundtracks. Like these guys had that, and Wang Chung had, you know, from uh, To Live and Die in L.A., you know, and
Hmm.
whatnot.
Yeah, you were saying that this was an uncut version. Like, was this
No,
movie
actually,
butchered
yeah. Thanks for
or
reminding
what?
me. No, this is not. Okay, there's only one thing. Well, two things missing. The band Athletico Spiz 80 they do the song "Where's Captain Kirk." They have an
Hmm.
intro at the beginning called "Clocks Are Big, Machines Are Heavy," and that is missing from the film. And then there was a band called Splodgenus Abounds, and they had a song called Two Little Boys, and that song is their whole song is missing. So they're not technically not on here. You see their name in the credits, you know, and stuff. So yeah.
It's not the full cut.
No, but I mean that's the way it came out on DVD too, on that
Mhm.
Warner Archive, you know, and stuff. So I mean, I wish, you know, whoever had the footage, because it was obviously, you know, they filmed the full sets, and well, you know, whoever, you know, they whittled it down to 2 hours. You know, no, Kenny, they don't do Dead Man's Party. They do Ain't This the Life. That's the song that they do. Um, but I thought that, you know, you would think that, I mean, whoever had that, you know, it would be fucking great if all the footage was found and they put out a you know, big ass box set, you know.
Yeah, make it a real collector's edition.
Yeah, exactly. Oingo boingo yo 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 ying yin yang yang the yin yang. I'm gonna tell her, Joseph, though. I'm gonna tell Danielle that you're cheating on her. Just kidding. No, split ends weren't involved. No. See, usually it's fucked up here that they, I guess it's usually like almost the last, songs that the bands play. Now, here's another band, Chelsea. I saw them when I was in high school at a really small club that I was underage and I wasn't supposed to be at, but we won't tell anybody. But man, they were fucking killer. But the weird thing was their singer, Gene October, he was actually sick, so their guitar player had to take over the vocals and stuff. So he was kind of nervous because it was his kind of first show, like just him doing the vocals. But
Hmm.
oh man, they were so fucking great though. And thing about Chelsea is I know some of you guys know about a guy named Billy Idol, right? Well, that was the first band he was in pre Generation X. He played guitar in Chelsea, and then he left Chelsea and formed Generation X with Tony James. So there's your bit of trivia about Chelsea and Generation X that you didn't want to know.
Billy Idol was in Chelsea. That
Yeah.
is insane shit. Wow.
Well, see, back in the day, there was a deal. This group of, I guess you could say fans, but they were called the Bromley Contingent, and it was like Susie from Susie and the Banshees and
Mm.
Steve Severin, who was the bass player, and Susie. Well, because you can see him, in that Bill Grundy interview, and stuff. But there was a
Hmm.
girl, really nice looking girl named Debbie that had blonde, spiked hair. But they would follow the Pistols around, and stuff like that. And it was, you know, it's just all this, useless knowledge that I have, in relation to music. Yeah, Billy L. I do. I know. Ah, yeah, Brittany Murphy. She used to be on my bucket list, but you know, here's Oingo Boingo and stuff. It's so weird to look at like Danny Elfman now, and he's
Elfman.
totally fucking all tattooed out.
Yeah.
So weird,
Composing he
huh?
goes he's singing and then he composes movies.
Yeah, there
That's
there's the
badass.
shot of Darby right there with the mohawk. I thought it was at the Go Go's footage, but it was the footage from this show.
Darby.
Yeah, I always thought these guys were. I never got to see them, live, but I always thought they were excellent because they were just,
Yeah.
you could tell they probably practiced their asses off, to be as tight as they were and stuff. I'm gonna dip out a second,
Okay.
because this thing keeps goofing on me.
Texas will be back, folks. Yeah, a lot of good music. Bungo, pretty good. Pretty good band. It's just fucking crazy to see Danny Elfman as a lead singer, and he has a good voice. and then he composes great fucking soundtrack. Which a lot of people bitch that, oh, his composing music is always the same shit. I don't give a fuck if he gets criticized. I like his composing soundtrack. He does good soundtrack. He's still doing composing soundtrack. He does better than most fuckers nowadays that do generic music and new ones nowadays. But hey there, Kenny. Yeah, listening to great music here. Yeah, we do miss him. We do miss Sean Joseph, and he's always in our hearts. Also, the appreciation is that they even dress fucking nice too. Where nowadays new musicians, I don't know what the fuck they're wearing nowadays. Most of them are having like weird fucking crap they wear.
So yeah,
Looks like
here we
new.
have Echo and the Bunnymen. This fucking song. It's called "The Puppet," and it's killer as fuck. This is the original band. They had this guy Pete DeFreitas on drums, and he was killed unfortunately in a car accident in the mid '80s, or yeah, or late '80s, maybe early '90s. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah, Kenny, exactly. You know, and stuff. Yeah, a lot of probably like parents and you know drunken bums. You know, and it's hey Joseph, you don't have to like worry about that, okay? Because I want you to do your YouTube channel, but I don't want you. Honestly, don't mention him anymore because you know it's not a. That's a thing of the past. You know, we got to move forward. Echo and the Bad Bunny, man. Yeah, there we go. Was that Lewis Largent Kinney or was that Penfield? You know, it's okay, Joseph. I just you know you see him every time you come in to mention him, and it's you know we're having a good time tonight. You know, I mean it's not bringing me down or anything, so I don't want you to think that. I'm just saying, you know, we're all behind you, Joseph. We want you to you know do your channel. We want you to meet the people you want to meet, you know, and have a good time. You know, that's what life's about, you know. So yeah, this is like one of the weirdest like bits I think having Jules Holland. You know, he was the original you know keyboard player in Squeeze, and
Hmm.
you know he actually has a show. He's had it for years on the BBC, where he's the host of like a music show, and he has different bands come on and you know play live and stuff. So here's XTC. These were the guys that I saw open for the Police on their Zenyatta Mandata tour, and these guys were playing from their album that had just come out at the time called Black Sea. I mean, honestly, they played like maybe 50 minutes. And I think they destroyed the Police. They just fucking just you know. It's funny though, because like they stopped touring and stuff because their guitar player, the singer there, Andy, he just like I don't know what it was. He had all these things compiled from like his like youth and just constantly touring, and not wasn't that he wasn't taking care of himself, but he suffered from like exhaustion, and they were supposed to have it was like in 82, their first tour of full on tour of America. They played like two or three shows, and then he collapsed on stage, and they canceled the shows, and then he just decided that's it for me. I don't want to play live anymore. And then a few years later, like him and the drummer quit, went on to other stuff, but the other three guys, they were doing like they would do acoustic type shows, like they'd appear on different shows on MTV. They were like on Letterman and things like that, you know. There's actually a documentary on them. I have to find the name of it. I can't think of it right now. It's actually kind of short, which kind of sucks, but it's very, very interesting. You know, they don't cover as much as I would like, you know, and they kind of talk about some of the records they did that I don't like, but that was all later stuff. All their earlier stuff was fucking great, you know. But of course, they're more famous for their song, you know, "Dear God" and all that, which people don't exactly, you know, realize that that's a song, an anti-God song, you know, because he's an atheist. Not that that matters to me, because I personally don't give a fuck, you know. Well, the thing about March Madness, Joseph, is I want to see you out there coaching a team, you know, being the coach that you are, you know. Now here we have Glass Nomi, and um, I you know, this is a guy that, you know, Ashton would probably kick out of the band, you know, and stuff, because, you know, he looks like an alien, of course. But one of the coolest things about Nomi was that he appeared with Bowie on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, that's the one. This is Pop. Of course, it's like there's a lot of like good documentaries that never exactly made it over here. I mean, I think it might have been on Showtime at one point. Um, like I have an MP4 of it that somebody posted in this group that I belong to before it was actually even shown over here. So I just fucking downloaded that to my computer. Um, but there's like several like documentaries that are real interesting. I mean, a few years ago there was a Duran Duran one. There's one on the Style Council that's fucking brilliant. And I wish they would put these things out, you know, on physical media, you know. Um, and then there's this one that I saw about this radio station. They were either in New York or Jersey or something, but they were one of the first stations to play music like this. And a lot of cool, you know, they talk with a lot of cool people that were in, you know, bands around that time. And that was a really interesting documentary and stuff. Chester. How did the hamburger know he needed pants? His buns were showing. I see hearts coming up, so I'm sending hearts back. I know who that is. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, as for art pieces and stuff, I think Nomi was fucking genius. That he'd even get away with doing something like this. Not that it was controversial, but you know, just back in that day, people wouldn't understand or shit like that. But it's unfortunate. He's another one we lost. He died of AIDS.
Shit.
But you get like a new wave opera or punk rock opera.
He definitely would have fit Phantom in the Paradise. Like he would have fit in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Who is on your bucket
That's
list to meet? I want to meet you, Coach Joseph. But you're one of the people I want to meet. I want to meet
same
everybody
here.
in the chat. That's one of my main, you know. So yeah, so
Same
here's
here.
the Athletico Spiz 80 song of Where's Captain Kirk? But like I said at the beginning, there's a little thing they did called Clocks Are Big, Machines Are Heavy, but for some reason this was cut out. But one of the cool things about these guys was they were always changing their name. There was Athletico Spiz 80, then there was like Spiz Oil, there was I think they were even called just Spiz at one time. Um, but this song, "Where's Captain Kirk?" They released a single of this. Then they had a follow up called "Spock's Missing," and that was a really interesting single. And then he's doing the whole Star Trek theme with his voice, which is great. I'm actually excited for Scream 8, The Return of Joseph.
I'm ready for Scream 9.
Scream 9, yeah.
Coach Joseph strikes again. Let us see
Well,
Joseph.
we all know Joseph is the killer. I mean, it just can't be. Chester's the sheriff and Joseph is the killer.
And I'm Enrique. I'm Enrique the gardener.
See, and then at the end of the song he says, "Where's Spock?" Oh yeah, and then this is the Go-Go's one. Oh yeah, and then they show the marquee there at the whiskey, and they played with Oingo Boingo, and they played with the Alley Cats. Alley Cats song is fucking great. That's one band that I wish they would have put in the Decline.
Yep.
We got the meat. But see, here you see, kind of sort of fat Belinda, and stuff. And then you got Margot on the bass before like Kathy Valentine joined and stuff. Well, Steve Kinney, she was hotter there before she lost the weight. Had that song, Our Lips Are Meals. She actually changed that line because originally it was Kenny Jones wants to get into our pants, you know. So, see, and you see this guy here, and he's all goofing around, and then they chase his ass off. They probably threw him out of the fucking club, you know. And then you get this robot-sized bitch getting up on here and stuff. We've got the meat. So that, you know, here we have the dead Kennedys, and we get to hear Jello rant about getting killed in Nicaragua or wherever the fuck. And I saw them, you know, several times. I just, you know, sometimes I just get, you know, tired of his beyond, you know, his fucking stage banter, you know, I guess if you want to call it that stuff, you know, and his annoying voice too. He doesn't sound that bad really when he sings sometimes, but it's always like I mean, I'll tell you guys, you know, like the first time I saw him, you know, like I wanted to meet these guys, and they played at um it wasn't Cullen Auditorium, which is an auditorium on the University of Houston, but they played like a really kind of smaller hall there. And this friend of mine's band was one of the openers, Really Red, where somebody actually videotaped their set. You can find it on YouTube. You don't see me in the audience, but I was there, you know, and stuff. But you know, but anyway, so I see Biafra after the show. He's heading into the bathroom to change his clothes, and so you know, he's like in the, you know, got the door closed and all that. But I start talking to him, and he's like, "Well, who am I talking to?" You know, and he kind of leaps up and looks over, you know, and stuff, and then he comes out and he's talking to me, but he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. You can ask me whatever you want." And he says, "Do you smoke a lot of pot?" And I go, "No, I don't do any drugs." And he's like, "Well, I was wondering because you've got tits." And I said, "Well, it's probably because I'm fucking fat. I don't know." You know, but I thought, God damn, that's weird. And so then I asked him, I'm like, "Well, do you do drugs?" And he was like, "Well, I used to, but when the band started, I stopped." And I was like, "Okay." So, like, don't meet your heroes, kids. You know, I thought Chester could appreciate that. You know, Coolie fries. Yeah, Arby's got the meat.
Is Arby's any good?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Get one of these fucking uh like roast beef sandwiches that's fucking this big, you know, stuff.
Because I have one. There's one here in Modesto. It's just I never ate there. I just thought like,
Here's
is it good or is it bad?
Well, you're gonna have to make a special trip, you know.
They got the beef. They got the meat.
He's coaching his team, the Nashville Tigers. Well, that's good. So now we're getting into some reggae here with Steel Pulse. I saw these guys as well. Fucking killer. Some of the members have changed. I don't think that when I saw him, the drummer wasn't with him because he was kind of dead and stuff. But that happens because he was kind of older. What the
Comes
fuck?
out.
Well, yeah, he's got that KKK outfit on because the song is called Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, he's basically talking about how these people like fucked with him, and stuff, and they figured, it was like the Klan and stuff. I was supposed, I was supposed to go see Sublime when that fucking their singer died. The day I was supposed to go see him, I was off from work. I was all prepared to go see him at this club that night, and my ex-wife and I, we were going to go to that show that night. We had the radio on, and they announced on the radio, well, we have this breaking news. Bradley Nowell from Sublime was found dead in his hotel. And they were like, and I was like, oh, well, fuck that, there's no show. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you guys. As of February 20th, I am now an ordained minister from the Church of Nome. It's a real church. You can look them up, and so they said it was free, and so I signed up, and so now I am an ordained minister. So anybody wants to get married or baptisms or what the fuck, I'll do it. If you guys want to. Somebody wants a baptism in blood, whatever.
Getting hitched. Congratulations, Texas.
Thank you. Joseph, if you get married, I can be your minister. I can marry you. Thanks, Kenny. Yeah, P. I mean, I was pissed off. I was like, man, I can't believe that happened. I do have to. The only thing I have to do is get my certificate and my card. But I mean, that's not a big deal. Plus, you get a gnome hat, and stuff too. So I have to get that, but that's, keeping the church going, but they're not a cult. So, and they say that, we're not a cult because they reflect that any denominations are welcome. So, they're not anti-religious. Thanks, P.
You have to pay for it, or is it free?
Just for the plaque and the membership card and the hat, and that's it. But no, they already ordained me as of February 20th. I just filled out this form, sent me an email. Congratulations, you are now an ordained minister in the Church of Nome. So yeah, here we have Gary Newman here on. This was like 80, 81, 80, I believe. So this was like the Telecon tour. And it's fucking great because he comes out in that little car and everything, which he didn't do when I saw him, because that was years later. But it's still amazing. it would have been fucking great, like if he had like lasers and he was like, blowing shit up. And of course, I know a lot of you know that Marilyn Manson did a cover of this song. I think it was them or it was the Foo Fighters, but somebody.
You would say Gary Newman's the OG of this song over them.
Well, of course. I mean, not that those are bad,
You,
but I'm just saying, Twisted Minister, yes. Yeah, it's the Church of Gnome. It's all about kind of like gnomes and stuff like that. You need a time stamp. All right, Terrence stamp. Let's see where we're at. We are at 49:19. Of course you will, Joseph. Yeah, UK girls are the best, except for like, no offense to Rosie or Brooke, or Moonbeam, but you're welcome, Chester. Gary, hello, Newman. There you go. I've actually somebody did a fucking uh like a cartoon of that where Newman's standing there and Seinfeld saying, "Hello, Newman."
it feels like Gary Newman's like the main event because he has like the special like performance like it.
Right. This is like his band, originally he had a band called, well, they were called Two Boy Army, and then they changed it to Gary Newman and Two Boy Army, and then he just dropped the Two Boy Army, and it was most of these same guys. But for a while he had this guy on keyboards, Billy Currie, who played in Ultravox and the Incarnate. Well, actually, he was originally in Ultravox, but he played in the original band with John Fox, who was the singer, and then John Fox left, and then later, I guess he was playing with Newman, and then they uh, regrouped, and they got Midge Ure from. He was in Ultravox, but Midge Ure was a guy who he had a band called like Silk, and then he wound up joining the Rich Kids that had Glenn Matlock in it after Glenn Matlock had left the Sex Pistols and stuff. Rich Kids were fucking great. They never got the fucking due they deserved.
This is great music.
John Fox. Well, John Fox was actually it was FOXX, So, that's great though. But John Fox on his own, he was yes, you're funny, Joseph. He had a couple of really good singles. He had this one called "Burning Car," um, and then fuck, I can't remember the other one. But "Burning Car" was like a fucking great song. And then of course here we have Joni Jett, and this was her first incarnation of the Blackhearts. This was pre Ricky Byrd, who I think was the best guitarist that she had. But I mean, this was still pretty killer, because they were pretty raw, and stuff. But I
This
can't
was
tell if
that.
that. Go ahead, Juno.
No, no, sorry about that. My, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, but I don't know if her guitar is there. You know, it looks like he's got a fucking raccoon on his head. You know, but I mean,
That
I wound up seeing
was
her like years later, like in '95, in a small club, and she just destroyed. She was fucking great.
was this after after the Runaways broke up?
Oh yeah, this is yeah after the Runaways and stuff. Well, you know, pretty much after the Runaways, she was like a huge drunk and shit like that. And then she finally woke up one day and decided, you know, I need to do something with my fucking life. And so she restarted a band, you know, and stuff. Well, we're happy to have you, Joseph, all the time, you know.
Thank you, Joseph. Did you ever see the Runaway movie?
I wish I was too young, man. They did a tour with the Ramones, and I could have seen them, but you know, but I mean, I was in junior high, so I don't think it was an all ages show or anything. The Runaways. Hey, Shamarlos, good to see you. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Hey, Scott.
Now, this band was has always been one of my favorites. Magazine. The singer was the original Howard Devoto. He was the singer, the original singer for the Buzzcocks, and then their bass player Barry Adamson. He went on to play with Nick Cave, and then their guitarist here was John McGeoch, who later he left Magazine and played with Susie and the Banshee. Actually, no, I am wrong. That was this other guy, Robin. That I think, yeah, he. It was probably just this was probably just around the time that McGeoch had left, and he joined Susie and the Banshees. But see, this was one of the things that I like this song, but they had way better songs than this. And I was a little, this has always perturbed me that, I mean, they do a great version of this song, but I was just like, man, I just wish that they had had them, you know, chosen a better song for them, you know.
Hmm.
I have this bootleg album that I bought years ago where they're like playing Boston or something. So they're like for one of their encores, they do Boredom by the Buzzcocks, but it's great because he just kind of dryly goes, "This one's for your mother." And before they launch into it. See, and in this song too, he says, I know that Carter will take care of me. And he was referring to Jimmy Carter, even though they were an English band, because later he, you know, of course, changed it. You know, there's other versions I've heard where he said, I know that Reagan will take care of me, you know, stuff. But there's a thing on YouTube where this guy put a lot of their promo videos up and then a bunch of concert footage. It's about 3 hours, but it's fucking great. And seeing like the early videos are just outstanding.
Yep.
Oh, and then here we have the surf punks. These guys were kind of I could never tell if they were just trying to be a joke band or whatever, but they put out a couple albums. The first album they put out was actually kind of funny. had some funny songs. Apparently, one of the guys in this band was actually the brother of the captain from Captain and Tennille. But I know none of you guys know what I'm talking about, except for Kenny. See, I would have much rather preferred like they had the Dickies in this instead of these guys, but. These guys, like the members, they were really good. They're still around in one incarnation or other, except their singer died a few years back. I used to talk to him on Facebook. Really cool guy, Nicky Tesco. Peach Buzzcocks rocking out with Cox socks. There's Juno, there's a band that you might like called Manic Hispanic. It's a bunch of guys from different LA punk bands like TSOL and friggin' Social Distortion and a few others. And they basically just do like punk rock covers or like of different songs, but they change the lyrics to to be like about Latinos and stuff, things like that. Like there was they do a cover of Social Distortion's Mommy's Little Monster, but they call it Mommy's Little Chola, and stuff like that. They do some Misfits covers, but they're the lyrics are all about different things regarding Mexican culture and stuff like that. Yeah, Black Phone 2 is a fantastic film. It's inspired, Ashton to drive around in a van and kidnap kids and stuff. these guys were killer. The Au Pairs. There was a lot of like bands at that time in England where it was like a mix of like female guitarists or bassists, and uh, like there was another band similar to these guys called Delta Five, who I liked a lot. Um, and then there was several, all female bands like the Slits, and then there was the Raincoats that had the ex drummer from the Slits, and then a band called the Madettes, who were really good as well. And it's weird because their sound is real. When you see a Gang of Four, their sound is real reminiscent to theirs. But Gang of Four, they recently finished up their final tour because their original bass player, he passed away last year, and one of the other main guys passed away a few years before that. We're all getting old, kids. So drink your water and eat your vegetables. Oh yeah. By the way, I want to give out a shout out to Todd Christian. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I wanted to give him a shout out because I'm sure hopefully he'll be watching it now that I'm gonna try to be back on a regular schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
You, Ashton, you shouldn't call P a primate. How dare you? What the hell? How rude. Go to the corner, Joseph, I hope you've been keeping a notebook with all the movies that you need to do your homework for. Uh-oh. Here you go, Juno.
Cramps.
Yeah. This was another band that was fucking killer, I mean, I really think that, Lux was the punk rock Elvis Presley,
Yep.
It's just it's fucked up that he died, but he and Ivy were married, so I mean, she didn't. I don't blame her for not wanting to continue because you can't continue without somebody like him. It's just about the only band I can think of that Well, I guess besides Nirvana or whatever, and stuff. Monkey ejaculation. Yeah, Joseph, you should do watch parties. I'll join you up there if you want me on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Juno will come too, and the three of us, it'll be like the three Megan Mateers. I mean, you can't beat, watching Texas Chainsaw 2 and you got that scene where, Carolyn Williams is playing Goo Goo Muck, and then what's that? The one they play in Halloween Bends. What song was that? I forgot. Was it Human Fly? Juno, I'm talking to you, brother.
Oh, I said I forgot about that.
I mean, that's the only good scene in it when he kills the DJ. But the guy, at least he was good enough to play something good like the Cramps. So, but they wrote a lot of songs that were about like movies, like I Was a Teenage Werewolf, and you
They
know,
never use did they ever use that in a movie?
probably not. But if you ever decide you want to buy some of their music, buy "Songs the Lord Taught Us." That's one of the best records they ever did. It's about an hour and a half, Chester. Now, see, this fucking band, I have no fucking clue about these motherfuckers, who they were or anything. That was the only band I was just like, what in the hell?
Invisible Sex.
Yeah. I'm going to have to finally kind of read up on these guys, but I always thought, okay, this is the weirdest fucking band in the movie. Brooke, you did see Primate, right?
They look like they're dressed up like the crazies.
Kinda, I guess.
How those military people are when they're dressed up in the crazies.
Right. Fake shitty hazmat suits. I thought you did. That's why I was asking, because I was just going to do this little bit from the movie. Dead, 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 dead. So, yeah. Woo! There we go.
I seen it. Thumbs up. Serious carnage.
That's the only spoiler I'm giving for Chester, is just that. That's it. And then these goofs have the cardboard guitars and shit. That's like, what the fuck?
They're getting all trippy with it
Right.
and dopey.
I mean, I don't think the song's that bad, but I just thought, what? What? See, even sometimes I get kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the outfit's like, what the fuck?
Watch, I'm gonna look it up, and it's gonna be a bunch of people in like bands that people didn't want to know they were in that band or something. I always fucking love this band. Somebody's yelling at him about something, and then he's just sort of like, I don't give a fuck.
What's this band called? Because I tried to read it.
Pear Ubu.
Per Ubu.
Yeah. Yeah, this is another band. Unfortunately, Dave Thomas, the singer, he passed away last year. They have a great song though called "Final Solution" that was covered by like
Hmm.
Living Color and a few other bands. Plus, it's always cool, see a band that has a fat man.
Yeah.
Their bass player is a guy named Tony Mayone, and I actually saw him play with Bob Mould one time.
Hmm.
See, I think it's cool because he looks like he like a real estate broker or some shit. I just got off my day job and now I'm singing in my band. Yep. R.I.P. Robert Carradine.
Yeah, Robert Carradine.
Actually, this week's been a fucked up week. There were quite a bit of people. And I guess apparently Robert Carradine, I don't know what the fuck that was about. Fat man and slobbing, yet.
There comes Devo.
Oh, uncontrollable urge. Yeah, that's what they did. I was trying to think of what when they could still do those big jumps and stuff. My honest opinion, Joseph, I thought that was a really stupid thing for them to do. See, the thing though, what was fucked up, right? When I was in school, because I was one of the few punks that was in school, and then you get we'd have these assholes, that didn't like the way we dressed or the way we had our hair and all that kind of shit. And then these people would be like, "Oh, I'm so punk. I love Devo and the B-52s," and we just were like, you know. And it wasn't that we wasn't that we didn't like those bands, but it was just that they always thought it was an insult to us and stuff, and it wasn't. So, Chester, what are your thoughts so far? Juno's grooving, that's for sure.
Devo's the fucking bomb.
Man, I wish you had Netflix so you could well maybe check and see if you got that Look movie has that Devo documentary.
Yeah, fuck movies.
Yeah, fuck movie. You your secret's safe with me, Joseph. Don't worry. I'm glad to hear that, Kenny. Had you ever seen this at all, Kenny? Yeah, here's the Alley Cats. This one, man, this song, fuck, this is really good. Their drummer was also in this Alley Cats drummer. He was in a band called Anti, which was a much, more hardcore band. But they had like about there's 3 albums, but they had this great song called "I Hate You." Well, most hardcore bands had a song called "I Hate You," but theirs was particularly good. Yeah, yeah, they had a great. This song was on a single. It's called "Nothing Means Nothing Anymore." They had another song called "Too Much Junk," and you know what I'm talking about. When I say junk, I mean I'm surprised. Like Randy's still alive, the singer and guitarist. But I mean, he looks like a former shell of himself because, I think he used to dabble, and stuff. But thankfully, he's not dead.
That's good.
It's funny in LA, there were two Chinese restaurants. One place was called Madame Wong's, and another place was called the Hong Kong Cafe. And they used to have punk rock shows there and stuff. So it's like you could buy some fried rice and watch, punk bands. Thanks, Chester. Thanks, P. That's cool. I appreciate that. This guy John Otway, he was a trip. This is like he was one of the people who I just this was the first place I'd ever heard of him. This movie, but I kind of liked the song, so I bought a record or two of his, and they were kind of hysterical, but they were cool. But it's funny, all the English bands always had really fucking great backing bands, and shit. Really good musicians. Just throws his guitar like it was nothing. Sliding and diving all over the stage, you know. Thanks, Joseph. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah. Have a good night, Joseph.
Have a good one. Good night, Joseph.
Tell your parents we said hello because we consider you a good friend. I'd just be like, Cheryl, go home already, you bitch. Now that you talk about carnage, Juno, Gang of Four, these guys were fucking audio carnage right here.
Like serious carnage.
All the dissonant chords and shit. And oh man, they had a song called Anthrax, you know, where it was like, you know, love is like anthrax. Kim Carnage. Ah, they had another really killer song called Ether. Mandatory album to get is their album called Entertainment.
They do have some serious carnage
Yep.
audio. This is some serious, serious carnage, King, and it kicks ass. By God.
Carnage Wilson. You remember Rosie when Carnage Wilson? She used to have her talk show on TV. My ex-wife told me one time that she had somebody on her show and they were talking about sex, and she actually said on her TV show that she loved doggy style. What? Yeah, yeah, it did suck, but I didn't see that particular episode. I just my ex-wife saw it. She goes, "You're not gonna believe this." I go, "What?" She goes, "Carney Wilson loves doggy style." The fuck,
What's your thoughts on this band? 999.
999. Yeah, these guys were fucking killer too. They're actually still around too, man. They had a fucking
Shit.
this song is called like Homicide, and uh I think this might have been one of their singles, but they had this one called Nasty Nasty, which was great. And then the B side was called like No Pity, which was fucking really good, bag style. Ah, yeah, their first two albums are absolutely fucking killer. They had this one song called Your Number Is My Number, uh, Me and My Desire. Actually, Me and My Desire, is one of those songs that you could do the nasty too, but I mean, you didn't hear that from me.
And
See, he said he'd be in a big black car instead of, Ashton's big white van. Yeah, Marvin Gaye. Oh yeah, fucking Sade, doggy bag style. I didn't see the doggy bit there. Doggy bag style. How do you know Marvin Gaye? Or do I know how you know him? Or do I want to know?
Marvin Gaye does have a song that makes you do the nasties.
Oh yeah, he has a lot of them. I love Marvin Gaye. You even had Barry White. He was one of them. Oh, Marvin the
Yeah,
Martian.
very white.
Yeah, the Fleshtones. Their singer was this guy Peter Zaremba, and he used to host the. There was a show on MTV. Actually, it was it was what do they call it? It was the IRS show or something. This is way before like 120 minutes or something. And he was the host of sometimes, and they actually went to like Austin and did a show about Austin's music scene there at the time.
Hmm.
And it was funny because I went up to Austin the next weekend with some friends of mine, and it was like the first show to actually feature Daniel Johnston. Um, and this was before he was so wigged out, but I ran into him on the street, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Daniel." I said, "Nice to meet you. I saw you on the Cutting Edge last week." And he's like, "Oh, here, have a tape." And I said, "Are you sure?" And I was like, and he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, how much do I owe you for this?" He goes, "Oh man, it's free." He goes, "I got dozens of tapes. I just copy my music on the tapes." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I had an original Daniel Johnston.
Holy shit.
There's a documentary on him called "The Devil and Daniel Johnston," and it's a trip. I never really thought that he would become this big deal in independent circles, but he did. It was just I don't know. A lot of his song, I mean, he suffered from mental illness. If you watch the documentary, you'll see all that shit. But it was a trip that you know I met him before he went completely fucking nuts. So but there was this weird deal, like in the documentary, where he had moved to New York and he was trying to, get shows there and stuff. And so then he just one day he decided to check himself into the to one of the nut houses, or whatever for like 72 hours. But then he heard that like Firehose was like playing a show. So he fucking snuck out and he played opened for Firehose for that show. Then of course we have X who have their own documentary, The Unheard Music, but they were also, of course, in the first decline.
And they also sang John Moxley's theme song.
That's true. Wild Thing. Did he get a free toaster? I don't know about that. It's just weird, to kind of watch this and I see all these people that once were that, aren't anymore.
Yeah.
And then I think Exene's got crabs and it's because she keeps moving her legs around weird. It's like she's got an itch that she can't scratch. And then you see these LA audiences, when the camera pans around, they're shooting the finger at the camera and being stupid. But typical LAans. So oh, okay. So they actually did that show with the Cramps because the Cramps drum set's right next to theirs.
Yep.
That would have been a fucking great show to see these guys and the Cramps. Gothish. This guy was a trip. Red Lobster crab fest. Ah, most skatefish though, man. He had that fucking nose that was so big it could probably suck pigeons up in it and shit.
Yeah, needle nose.
I mean, look at that honker on his face. Jesus Christ, you know. He's a tall motherfucker, though. See, I don't think these fucks can deal with him, you know, because they're they're just like, I don't know what the fuck this is, you know. A general reflection, maybe you'll get an erection. So CP can, you know, he can agree with that, you know. Get a bib. I think he was acting like he was throwing holy water, you know, at the audience, you know. P, that's great. See, this I think the splodge song was supposed to come after the Scavefish, or it's either that or after this UB40 song.
Mm-hmm.
See, I always thought these guys were really cool until they started putting out all those covers, and you know. But of course, Kenny probably loves Red Red Wine, you know, because it's a Neil Diamond song. If he's still here, I hope you're still here, Kenny. I hope you didn't pass out on us. Go, Ashton, go. Their first record they did called Signing Off was absolutely killer. Well, I don't know. My thing about, after a while, they got real kind of. I know they wanted to try to break into having an American, uh, the American market and everything, but like they didn't need three, you know, records of covers. Just my opinion, of course. But this song, I think this was Medusa or whatever, was fucking killer because it's from that Signing Off record. Juno, you want to know what a UB40 is?
What's that?
It's actually the England, unless they changed it, but it used to be their unemployment form, a UB40. That's what you'd fill out to get your money when you didn't have a job.
Oh.
When you were on the dole, So. See, they always called it the dole. I always thought, well, what do they do? Give you a fucking can of peaches or fruit cocktail or some shit? Yep, welfare, exactly, P. I don't know, like for a while, these guys, they kind of it's split into two different UB40s, like because the you know originally it's like two brothers, it started the band, and I guess they had a falling out, so there was one guy that had his UB40 and the other one had the other, and kind of ridiculous. UB40-year-old version. Yeah, it sucks that they didn't have that Splodge song because that was a great one. They had a lot of really funny songs. Roger Moore used to, before he was James Bond, he had a show in England called The Saint. They used to show it over here. They did that movie, of the same name with Val Kilmer, but like the character's name was Simon Templar. So they wrote a song called Simon Templar, and it's so funny because you hear these British women in the background going, Simon Templar, Simon Templar, Simon Templar, Simon Templar. It's just what the fuck. Now we go into this the Police again with this extended fucking version of like Roxanne. I like how that one roadie guy or whatever is giving Sting the side eye, like, you're a cunt. Roger Moore, Moonraper. Jeez. Simon Bowell. Rosie's still racking the points up. Simon Coward, you know. Fucking Gordon John Benet Ramsey. Woo!
Do you like this song that they're singing, Roxanne?
I like it, except I don't like it when they fucking extend it out and, you know, they did it when I saw them, you know, and stuff. I mean, several songs they kind of extended them, like "Walking on the Moon," which is I actually think "Walking on the Moon's" a better song, and you know, and stuff. But I mean, I like Roxanne. I mean, I think their first three records are great, and then "Ghost in the Machine" is kind of so. It's got some good songs, but I think it suffers from a lot of the production's kind of flat on it, and then you had Synchronicity after that, you know, that had some good songs, but you know, you have, you know, every, you know, orgasm you fake on it and all that, you know. I just sometimes I don't know, man, because those guys, you know, they did all that touring and shit, and then they eventually like started to hate each other and shit, and it was mainly because of Sting, you know. It's when he took off his makeup, you know, and stopped wrestling, and then they'd get pissed at him, you know.
Yeah.
Will the real Sting please stand up? I used to have this infatuation with this one girl, and they had that song called "This Bed's Too Big Without You," and I'd always piss her off because, you know, she had that album, you know, and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, I really like this song," and then I would tell her, I said, "Well, this bed is too big without you," but she would just like, "You better stop it," you know. And I'm just like, "What? I'm just telling you, it is," you know. Roxanne, you don't have to wear your cum sock tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Cameron Cumsock.
Roxanne.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they do a good version of this song, but it's just like, I think that was kind of their staple on this tour to like extend some of the songs. And it's basically the same, almost pretty much the same way when I saw them, you know, when they did this song.
Mhm.
They kept saying Roxano like it was, you know, it's like, what difference does it make? Why do you have to put a no at the end? Why don't you just say Roxanne? Yes, you know. So this is where they drag a lot of the people that were playing in Freyas with them and stuff, you know.
Mhm.
So you got Jules, and then you get XTC. They come out, and you get UB40 and stuff, and the credits are rolling, so you can see all the band members of each band and the names of the bands in case you missed them. But then when you get to Splodge, you're like, where the hell was that? I didn't see that because it's not in the fucking film anymore. Oh, they misspelled Danny Elfman in there. It said Danny Elsman. Red Light District 9. Yeah, I've seen that movie up close and personal. I'm just kidding.
The Go Go's.
Oh yes, Skyfish. But he just kind of mulls around in the background and really doesn't do anything.
Gary Newman. Joe Jett.
Oh, actually, yeah, on the Newman stuff, yeah. I guess Billy Curry was on a couple of his records, but I guess he wasn't on that tour because he's not playing. But
The Cramps. Invisible Sex. That's the one band that you didn't know who the hell that was.
right,
So you
but
gotta, you
you're
gotta.
probably you might be ahead of me a little bit. Gene Wow, Gene Banana, Gene X, Gene Machine, Gene One, Ranking Gene. Now that's fucking funny. I hadn't seen this in so long, and didn't notice it the other day when I watched this. Shit. See, here's where after the Skatefish, it should have been Splodge because you see the names Max Splodge, Miles Rat, Squint Beetroot, Whiffy Archer, Baby Green Sleeves, Desert Island Joe Lurch or some shit like that. Yeah, I love when bands had fucked up names and shit. Eat shit, fuck off and die. Sounds like half the crowd's booing. It's like, what did you expect? I mean, rock and roll. It's always amazing. Like you go to see, a band and they don't always play the exact songs you want to hear, but some people get so upset they didn't play, Butt Fuckers Anonymous, or whatever, So what? Who cares? Be happy you got to see the fucking band. And then you get all these, the credits here of like in the pictures of these people in Urgh shirts that you had no clue of who the fuck they are. It was good, Kenny. I just wish there was I mean, this is a great print of this film, but I just wish that there, was a, non-cut version that had the Splodge song and stuff. Rock Me on a Hot Day. Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty good. My favorite was definitely Devo and the
They were,
and
yeah.
the
I mean,
Cramps.
see, and look, special thanks, Jonathan Demme, right there. Look at that. See,
Jonathan Demme.
have a good night, Ashton.
All right, Ashton. Thank you for stopping by.
So here's the locations: the Santa Monica Civic, which I thought, pretty much that was it. And then there's the Whiskey a Go Go, California Theater, that was in San Diego. Then like CBGB's and the Ritz. Like CBGB's is where the Flesh Tones were playing, and then the Ritz was where Klaus Nomi was. And then you have that in Freyas, you have that arena, and stuff. And then there was a bunch of stuff in London and Portsmouth and all that. The soundtrack goes for big money now. Because, yeah, they filmed this, I think, late 79 and then 80 and released it in 81.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 16 and with a dream. Yeah, that Jules Holland show, it's called Later with Jules Holland. I don't know if they have full episodes up, but like if you look up, certain bands, you can find the stuff like the specials are on one, and then there's Radiohead. There's all sorts of fucking bands from over the years.
Do you like Radiohead?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was lucky enough to see them in concert once. They took their name from that Talking Heads song that was in True Stories. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie at all, have you, Juno?
No, never seen True Stories.
Directed by David Byrne, and it's got, John Goodman on the cover there.
Hmm.
Flip it there, there you see him. There he is in 3D. That's for Kenny, John Goodman in 3D. Actually, Tito's in this, by the way, Juno. He has a part in it.
Tito.
Yeah, he was making the rounds. Yeah, see, Kenny says good film. So yeah.
Yeah, this was pretty good, Texas.
It's 11/11. Everybody make a wish, or at least 11/11 on my side.
I make a wish.
Yeah, Kenny's staying up late with us. I hope you had your tuna hoagie and stuff. Damn it. You guys did a great
But
show
yeah,
tonight too, by the way. That's why, I thought, man, I'm just gonna plug you guys from now on if I'm doing these things on Tuesday night and stuff. Thank you, Chester. I appreciate that. Because you know me, I do different things. I try not to, be the norm, We need to be uh we need to be negative renegade, you know. Fuck that positive renegade shit. And you can take that to the bank. Oh, I will, Kenny. Shit, the first one that I ever did was the first Decline of Western Civilization. I'll probably do the other two at some point. You know that I did the Sex Pistols documentary, Filth and the Fury. I did the Clash movie, Rude Boy. I actually want to do the Joe Strummer documentary too. There's a lot of things. I just noticed, you know, your favorite, not a sponsor, Tubi, actually has a lot of punk rock documentaries up there right now. I watched the Crass documentary for their Reality Asylum Shaved Women record, and woo, that was a trip, you know.
Did you ever see that movie with John Cryer and Daniel Roebuck that Nelfie
Dudes,
Shivers
yeah,
directed?
dudes, yeah,
How was
it's
that?
great.
Because
It's
I never
great.
seen it.
Oh, it's really good. It's got fucking Lee Ving in it from Fear, and Flea is in it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a good flick. Um, Trying to think of who the woman was that was in it. Um, the sort of love interest, but she has that other one that she did. It was her first. It was after Suburbia. She had this movie with Charlie Sheen and Maxwell Caulfield called The Boys Next Door, and that's a fucking trip of a movie. That's a good one. I guess like apparently Charlie Sheen wasn't too into it or whatever, or didn't like the outcome or whatever. But like Maxwell Caulfield was really into it. You know, he has nothing but good things to say about her and the
Hmm.
movie. You know,
But yeah, this was a good show, my friend.
thanks, Juno. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. You know, hanging out with me and everybody in the chat for hanging out tonight.
Yeah,
You know,
I'll definitely check out that Devo doc that you recommended
oh
because I
man,
enjoyed the performance
you
here.
know, I should just do that, you know, because I mean, it's fucking, it's really good. Because I mean, I have Netflix and shit, so I can watch it on there, you know. There's this other documentary about this band Failure uh, that I saw sometime last year, and it's fucking great, really good. A lot of the docs are good, you know, when it's not like a total, you know, sadness thing, you know, or whatever, but you see how a lot of fucking, you know, how record companies a lot of times, you know, like really fucked over artists. You know, that's what it's usually about. Oh, thanks, Juno. I mean Chester and Juno and Rosie. Double D evolution. That's correct. Like Stiff Records used to say, if it ain't stiff, it ain't worth a fuck.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. But for my next stream, for Friday, we're gonna be doing The Hitcher with Roger Howard and C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Lee.
Two fucking
Great
thumbs up on
thriller.
that.
Two Chalice. Yep.
You know, Rosie, I can't get over that the word for wig in Spanish is paluca.
Did they do anything else on Netflix like for wrestling? Did they add like the WCW shit?
I don't know. I haven't really looked lately. They should have just, man, they should never have gotten rid of the network. Pieces of shit. Man, you're going to get me
Yeah.
ranting about that again. You know?
Fuck.
Whose house? Rosie's house. Chester says they didn't add any WCW stuff on there.
Those fucking bastards.
Well, maybe it'll come in good time. Who knows? But I'm starting to think Paramount is the shoe-in to get Warner Brothers. They need somebody that knows how to control like all that back catalog shit. And even if they have to sell it to somebody, they should,
But yeah.
We're just, we always do this. We always wind down a little bit before we take off, and get, hit by a truck or something. Do Home Alone faces. Whose house?
Kingdom.
Dear God, Train Spotting is 30 years old. Oof.
It turned 30 years old?
Yeah. You can't fucking pay me to watch that fucking movie, man. Once was enough. Yeah, it began in 2014 and then it got fucked, 6 ways to Sunday. They used to have so much great stuff on there, those goofy ass shows like that Edge and Christian show, and man, that's such a bummer, man. Yeah, Legends House was a pile of shit. That was going to be on MTV before the network. Well, it was a joke because it was all, scripted like most things anyway, but the whole deal about Patterson being gay, it was like they all knew that, but they played it up like, what? You fucking idiots.
Bunch of jackholes.
I mean, there were good aspects to it, but it was just some of it was just like, oh come on, guys, don't you're just fucking playing for the camera, don't.
I thought the only thing I thought was ass was the Camp WWE, wherever the fuck that bullshit was.
Yeah, that stuff, the territories discussions and all that stuff, that stuff was great. Even that shit like Dinner for Three or whatever the fuck, when they would have dinners and talk about shit, that stuff was awesome. I love that stuff, I mean, they had a lot of good ideas. They just, I don't know, but they fucked that thing up, man. They were getting really good where they were having that stuff where they were finding this old stuff that had never been seen before and in years, and man, it was ridiculous. Thank God that fucking Billy Corgan bought the fucking Houston wrestling stuff, but he's never put it on anything. But I didn't want him to ever get that shit because we never would have probably seen it, or they would have been slow to put it out like most everything that they were doing.
Hmm.
I really wish that like some of the stuff that they had from Mid South had like a lot of the local promos and shit because that's
Yep.
some of that stuff was really fucked up. Hacksaw Butch Reed telling Dutch Mantel, "You better not bring that shoe baby around here because let me tell you something, Dutch Mantel. This is 1985, not 1865." You're just like, oh shit. Like,
I just wish like they should have had that, but the fucking peacock is full of pussified buttholes
well, yeah, I
that
mean,
didn't
it
want
was
to
like
put that.
they couldn't even give you, a fucking search engine, a proper search engine like the fucking network had. They should have just, it's what it is. It's all about fucking money to them, man. It doesn't matter, you know. I mean, shit, they'd be on PBS if they got the right fucking money. It doesn't matter. You're welcome, P. Thanks for coming in and hanging out and stuff. Imagine, right? PBS, and the WWE on there, and you could have like Bob Ross doing all the fucking intros if he was still alive. Oh, let me paint
Also,
this Shawn Michaels photo right here. Small little brush strokes.
yeah. Also, they had the ICP music on there until the fucking peacock edited the shit out.
Well, they probably checked licensing, and shit like that. It could have been ICP going, hey, we don't want this fucking shit on your shows anymore.
Yeah. Even when they're seen on the fucking dub version of whatever Raw is it, they put some generic fucking circus music in there. It just sounds fucking weird. Like this fucking clown music, bouncy circus moves. Like, what the fuck is this? And you kind of see ICP running around with them because you could tell they're doing their song, but they're just editing
Right.
out the fucking music. It's just awful. The editing's really awful because I'm used to hearing them fucking rap with them. Even the SummerSlam live performance got fucking cut out. Granted, the match that they had with Kaientai was shit, but the best part was ICP doing their live performance.
I don't know. A lot of that shit's probably just going to come out on YouTube, more or less.
Yeah.
The WCW stuff and all that.
Also, I hate when they edit out DDP music because it's supposed to be like his version of "Smell Like Teen Spirit,"
Right.
which is such a fucking badass song. It's just like the network or wherever the hell they call it, something a dub version. It sounds like shit. Because that's what a lot of people don't realize, that they never knew that fucking DDP had like a Nirvana kind of theme song. Because they must have just only heard the shitty dub version of his theme song. Even the ECW stuff, the only way you can see that is that somebody uploads their video on YouTube and they have the original showing of it where you can hear their actual theme song.
Right.
Like you got Enter the Sandman.
Oh, Kenny? Are you talking about Neville against Austin Aries or whatever? I heard like when they put out the physical media version of that, they didn't even put that. They didn't even put that fucking match on the disc, and shit. That's a fucking crime. But in hindsight, Austin Aries always had, great matches with people, but he's a fucking prick. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Same as that Joe Ryan asshole. Fuck that dude.
Yeah, he's another one.
I I don't understand what the fuck was funny about his gimmick. Like, what, people grab his dick and they're supposed to be all freaked out, like
Well,
fucking retarded shit.
it was like he would flip him or whatever, but you know, that shit's only funny like the first couple of times you see it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's to me, that's not something
yeah.
that you should use in like every
Like,
match.
granted, like that's how I felt with Orange Cassidy when I first saw him. Like, I hated Orange Cassidy when I first saw him in AEW because I thought, what the fuck is he doing with Pac? He's not wrestling. But after like a year, he's been when he was in AEW, I started to like Orange Cassidy because he developed more.
Right. Well, I mean, his gimmick. I mean,
Yeah,
he used
because
to
at
be
first,
in.
yeah, it's
Um,
just I didn't. At first, I didn't really like his gimmick because he was wrestling Pac, and I like Pac. It's just
well, he was he
it
you
was
know he originally was like in
yeah,
Chikara. I think he was
yeah.
Fire Ant or some shit.
But he's like, after a while, like he started getting better. Like, I would say to me his best match is him against Will Ospreay at the 2022 Forbidden Door, which I got fucking pissed when they never put that on DVD or Blu-ray because I wanted to fucking own that pay per view on Blu-ray because that was actually my favorite match on that pay per view.
It'll probably come out. There's um one of
Because
the
that was actually
best
a good show too.
one of the best like Austin Aries matches that I've ever seen was him against Danielson. I forget which show. I'd have to go look and find it, but there's this one show where it's like um him against Danielson and it goes like 80 fucking minutes. But I mean, it's
Uh,
fucking great. It's really good.
yeah.
And then on that show too, they had it was like the Briscoe brothers against uh the it was like Homicide and Shit, I think Rocky Romero was part of the thing, this faction that they had, and they kicked the shit out of Mark Briscoe, beat the fuck out of him. But they do this angle where the whole locker room just like runs out and goes after them, and like Low Key was part of it, and fucking like Samoa Joe goes after Low Key, and the fucking crowd follows everybody into the fucking parking lot. And Joe's just going like ape shit. He's telling Low Key, "I'm gonna fucking bury you," and all this shit. Oh man, it was great.
What's your thoughts on Loki?
Oh, I loved Low Key. I mean, he kind of gets a bad rap because he used to do a lot of no shows and shit like that. But I mean, he's no Teddy Hart, where he's fucking
Yeah, Teddy Hart's
absolutely
Teddy Hart,
fucking nuts.
more of a Teddy Hart's more of a disgrace to the Hart family. Like he's an asshole.
I've got to bring my cat to the fucking matches.
I do think it was kind of shitty that WWE did Loki dirty, especially the way they beat the fuck out of him in
Yeah,
that wherever the fuck that stupid NXT bullshit. Like it pissed off Loki for that because they never fucking told him that he was gonna get his ass kicked or something or beat up or jumped after he won because he felt like that was actually like a fucking ass beating by Vince or some shit cause or like a punishment because of that TNA comment, whatever that stupid shit.
yeah,
Oh no, like they should have just kept him as Loki. Like, why the fuck did they have to call him Kaval? That was a stupid name.
yeah. That
Like
was a
they
dumb
couldn't give
name.
him. Yeah, like just give him his fucking name that everybody knows him, and he even wrestled WWE and the WWF in dark matches as Loki. Like people are gonna fucking remember him as Kaval. Like stupid name
When
because he's like
TNA
this.
first. Go ahead.
Go It's because of the stupid shit they did, like Mr. Perfect's son. He's Michael McGillicuddy. Like, what the fuck is that dumb shit?
Right. But I was going to say, when TNA first started and they were doing those 2 hour pay-per-views, weekly pay-per-views and stuff,
Hmm.
a friend of mine had made me a tape with a bunch of those on there. And there was like, AJ Styles against Low Key, and those fucking matches, man, were insane. They were great.
Yeah, it just fucking sucks they never did nothing with low key. Yeah, because Loki's pretty good. I know a lot of people like you say that people say that he takes like he's not good shit with everybody, but he is hell of a talent. Like he knows how to fucking kick ass.
Yeah.
I just wish one day he had. I just wish he had a match with Matt Sydal or Aaron Bourne, whatever they call him nowadays. I think those two should have had kick-ass matches in WWE. Like those would have been two motherfuckers that would have gave us a 5-star match.
Yeah, but you gotta take WWE for what it is. They can have all this talent, but they don't really let them do what they can do. That's the thing. That's always been the thing. It's all about money, and then it's just like taking this talent from other places and not utilizing them. Not I mean, fuck, man. You like the early days of ROH and fucking TNA. I mean, they just let those guys just work. They were almost like shoot
Yeah,
fights. Shit.
yeah, yeah. TNA got fucked up when they had fucking Dixie Carter be the one that was in charge of it. She fucked it up.
You need to look up on YouTube. There's a ROH match, Brian Danielson versus Kenta. It's like it goes 25 minutes, and they're just beating the piss out of each other. I
Yeah,
mean, it's fucking great.
yeah.
It's so
I
fucking
picked
like
up.
stiff and shit.
Wow, because I know his matches are fucking early. Daniel Bryan's early matches are fucking good. Because I had a Blu-ray of his that I got from FYE, and he also has like he went by the remember the American Dragon where he had the fucking mask and shit.
Right? Yeah.
And there's a tag team match that he teamed up with somebody, and he faced Spanky, who is Brian Kendrick. He teamed up with Lance
Right.
Cade. This was a fucking ass kicking 15 minutes match, and I thought it was gonna be 6 minutes, but it went on 15 minutes, and both him and Spanky went fucking airborne crazy in this fucking match. Do you feel like he should have been signed at that time?
No, not at all. I mean, see, that's the thing. You see these guys, and they put on these great matches in like ROH and like other places, and even on the independents, and those fucking matches are amazing. I don't want to see them, you know, because if they get signed to the WWE, they're only going to get maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and they can't do what
Yeah,
they want to do. Fuck that.
yeah. Like Shinsuke and Styles, they try to repeat they try to repeat their match and at WrestleMania, and it turned out to be a disappointing piece of shit.
See, like Kenny says, they had Styles versus Nakamura at Mania main event and wouldn't let them go like New Japan. I mean, n- you know, everything is always a letdown with those guys. Not the wrestlers themselves, but just oh well, like
Also,
Michaels versus Flair. That should have gone at least 40 fucking minutes. But nope, they relegate them to 20 fucking minutes. Bullshit.
yeah, it's like matches that were mistakes. Like Sting should have faced Undertaker instead of fucking Nipple H.
Right.
Like that should have been the fucking match instead. Nobody give a fuck about Triple H. Like nobody even give a shit about that stupid dumb storyline, the authority garbage. That's what killed everybody watching wrestling because nobody want to see that bullshit.
It's just like when they do one thing right, and then the next week it's all bullshit. Like that fucking
Yeah.
TNA show that they had on on AMC. Like that was
Hmm.
one of the most dreadful fucking shows I'd ever seen. I mean, that made like one of the worst, it could be like one of the worst indie shows, that you've ever seen, but then it makes that look like Gone with the fucking Wind. That show was so bad. I haven't watched it since. I was like, well, this tells me that I don't want to watch this shit. It was so fucking bad. Unless like Kenny runs in
Like
with a hoagie and knocks somebody the fuck out with it.
I also say that even AEW is the same way too, with some talent that they fucking bring in and they kind of don't do shit with them,
Yeah, me
or they
too,
book
Chester. I
them,
mean,
or
no, I was just responding to his, but it still should have gone longer than it did. But that was a fucking great match. I mean, for what it was, but it wasn't, as good as it could have been had they been given more time.
what? Triple Nipple H fucked everybody over. He fucked over everybody, especially Sting. And also the commentary was so fucking stupid. Like oh, Triple was Sting made Triple H relevant. Like, I'm like, fuck you. This ain't WCW. Like, this is horse shit. Because
Right.
all it was just a stupid Monday Night War bullshit.
Horse shit wrestling.
Yeah. Like, that's the one match that really pissed me off. Like, how stupid this bullshit company was for doing that
Yeah.
crap. Like, granted, I kind of did felt the same way with Stone Cold turning heel. Like, not turning heel because I it would have worked, but him aligning with McMahon was kind of stupid
Right.
because that kind of defeat the purpose of what created the fucking Attitude Era was that fucking storyline that everybody invested every fucking Monday night.
That's true. Well, I think, it's almost a quarter till here, so we should
Yeah.
wind this up, wind it down.
Yeah.
But once again, I appreciate all you guys coming in tonight and stuff, and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the movie. But I'll have other stuff, and Kenny, I'll get you on here. Shit, I was gonna ask you if you wanted to come on, but I didn't really know if you were even gonna show up. I mean, not that you weren't. I didn't know. But I mean, I was glad about that. But yeah, but I got different stuff planned. I'm gonna probably do some Yam movies and
Woohoo.
stuff. But yeah, everybody, thanks for coming out and have a good night. And like I said earlier, drink lots of water and eat your vegetables. Be a negative renegade. And you have nothing to fear but fear itself, and you can scare the hell out of it too. But thanks to Chester, Rosie Ashton, Brooke, Anthony Jabot, and Jamarlos, Johnny, Kenny, of course. It was a good night, and I appreciate you guys coming out. So we're out of here like Vladimir. So see you guys soon.
Later, everybody.